with us now as we are here in the house of the Lord. I pray that you spirit of worship help us bring honor and glory and praise to you, Lord. To your brother James, this song, new pastor, as he brings us into the message. In your name.
I invite you to stand if you are able, and we will see about going out this evening for visitation, flyers, we'll play it by ear. But I invite you to turn to hymn number 69. We're just going to sing one hymn this evening. We'll sing channels only. We'll sing the first, second, and the last of hymn number 69. How I praise thee, precious Savior, that thy love lay hold on me. Thou hast saved and cleansed and filled me, that I might thy channel be. Channels only, blessed Master, but with all thy wondrous power, flowing through us, thou canst use us every day and every hour. Empty that thou shouldest fill me, a clean vessel in thy hand, with no power but as thou givest, graciously with each command. Channels only, blessed Master, but with all thy wondrous power, flowing through us, thou canst use us every day and every hour. Jesus, fill thou with thy Spirit hearts that full surrender know, that the streams of living water from our inner man may flow. Channels only, blessed Master, but with all thy wondrous power, flowing through us, thou canst use us every day and every hour. Amen. You may be seated. Pastor.
Well, it's good to be here this evening. Good to see you all here. It's good to see our visitors here. I don't know about y'all, but it got a little windy and a little rainy yesterday. So I don't know how many of y'all seen the branch out. I thought it was beautiful. Not the branch, the storm. I like the rain. I like that. All the stuff that God's given to us, all the blessings we have, and we look at the rain and the storm and the wind blowing and everything. I was out standing underneath, not at the storm, after the storm, went out and looked at the branch and everything, and I was standing underneath that big tree out there looking up. I never noticed it before, but it was like a canopy up in there. And then I thought about some of the message tonight. And Hosea is where we're going to be going. So if you want to turn to the book of Hosea, right after Daniel, Hosea. We're looking at Christ, finding Christ in every book of the Bible. And he talks here hang on, before I get to that, I'm going to get to the end almost. But the book of Hosea is not a book that's very popular. A lot of people haven't read the book of Hosea. It's a book that is showing God's love to the unfaithful. And he tells Hosea here in chapter 1, verse 1, says, the word of the Lord that came to Hosea, the son of Beeri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel. The beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea. And the Lord said unto Hosea, Go, take unto thee a wife of the whoredoms, and children of the whoredoms, for the land had committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord. So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, which conceived and bare him a son. You can read on down through here. He had a son and a daughter, and God told him what to name them. And But God told Hosea to go and take a wife. That was a prostitute, basically. Go and take her, because the picture here, he says, look, and you read the book of Hosea, you read this, and so here in chapter 3, chapters 1, chapter 2 are the troubles that Hosea has from this bride that he is married, and the picture here is that Israel keeps coming and going back. They follow and then they go away. They follow and they go away. And that's what Hosea dealt with this. And then chapter 3, the Lord tells Hosea, then said the Lord unto me, go yet, love a woman beloved of her friend, yet an adulteress, according to the love of the Lord toward the children of Israel, who look to other gods and love flagons of wine. And this chapter is just 5 verses. It's not very long, but so Hosea goes and he buys. He says, in verse 2, so I bought her to me for 15 pieces of silver and for an omer of barley and a half omer of barley. And I said unto her, thou shalt abide for me many days, and thou shalt not play the harlot, and thou shalt not be for another man, so will I also be for thee. For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without teraphim. Afterward shall the children of Israel return and seek the Lord their God, and David their king, and shall fear the Lord and his goodness in the latter days. This whole book, you read this, it's 14 chapters, and some of the chapters aren't very long. Most of the chapters are not very long. You can read it. I think I've read it a few times here in 45 minutes. I mean, I'm a slow reader. You can read it and listen to what's going on, what the Lord's telling Hosea. But the verse that when you read this book and you see that God is telling Hosea, look, this is a picture. It's a shadow of what Israel's doing to the Lord, but yet the Lord still loves Israel. Still loves, and that's the picture that Hosea taking this prostitute, the wife of whoredom, and then buying her from when she's left, buying her back. And all of this, look in chapter 14, this, in the whole book of Hosea, I think this is probably my favorite verse in this book of Hosea. In chapter 14 and verse 5. It says, I will be as a dew unto Israel. He shall grow as a lily and cast forth his roots as Lebanon. That, when you understand that God is showing Israel, I love you and let you keep playing the harlot. And I love you. This is a book that is showing God's forgiveness, showing his love toward unfaithful people. In this verse, dew comes without rain, right? It doesn't rain to get dew. Dew's there in the morning. Dew just appears. Do you know how we cool this building? It's a really neat process how we cool this building, because you hear the vent, well, you hear them over here, I think, but they're running, and water runs through down underground. It's cold water, gets it down to 42 degrees, I think is what it does, and it runs pipes through these little vent things here. And air blows over them, blows out cold air, but what sticks to those cold pipes? What just appears on those pipes? Dew, or condensation, is what just appears. You don't see it in the air, but it shows up on the pipes. That's like dew. It just shows up. The Lord is going to show up. And he says here in verse 4, he says, I will heal their backsliding. I will love them freely. It's not going to cost. His love doesn't cost us anything. It's freely given to us. For mine anger is turned away from him. And he says, I will be as a dew unto Israel. I will be their nourishment. I will be their health. I will be their what they need. I will be their sustainer. I will be all of this to them. And then he says, he shall grow as the lily. Now, I don't know about all lilies. We have some tiger lilies, some double tiger lilies, and I think they're beautiful. But you know, the lily, at least ours over there at the house, they grow tall. They grow pretty tall. They're straight, grow up, and they grow pretty quick. And then they bloom after a while, and then the bloom dies. But what's neat about a lily, what's not neat about a lily, is it grows so fast, but yet its root system is not very deep. It grows quick, but then any wind that blows can knock the whole thing over. It can fall over. So why is that important? Well, because he says here in this verse, he says, and cast forth his roots as Lebanon. As the cedars of Lebanon is what I understand he's speaking about here. A cedar tree, and I've looked this up, the cedar trees don't have really deep roots. The cedars of Lebanon, you think of a cedar tree, you think of the cedar trees like it's back here in the back on this guy's property back here. They grow up real tall. That's not the cedars of Lebanon from what I can find out. They're huge trees, and they spread out. They're beautiful trees, beautiful. But their root system is not real deep, 3 or 4 feet deep, that's it. But how they hold that tree up is they spread 25 to 40 feet out away from the trunk of that tree. They spread way out from their origin. And so what he's saying here in this is, I'm going to be their dew. They keep going away, but there's coming a time when God says, look, I'm going to bring you to me. I'm going to forgive your backsliding. I'm going to heal their backsliding. I'm going to love you freely. You're not going to deserve this. I'm going to give it to you. And you're going to grow like the lily quickly, but yet your root is going to be spread out wide. Wide root system. You're going to be sturdy. I love that verse. Especially when you look at this whole book of what it's talking about, what it's telling us about the Lord, about his love to us. In reading this about the lilies, I thought of Matthew chapter 6, verse 28 29. It says, and why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. The lilies are beautiful flowers. I think they are. But their root system is not very deep. But he says, I'm going to make your root system deep. I'm going to make your roots, you're sustainable to where you're going to be nurtured. You're going to be taken care of, and it's all through him. That's one of the things you see in this book. So when you read Hosea, don't get, and I've heard people say, well, it's okay for me to marry, for us to marry, to be unequally yoked because God told one of his prophets to. I told a preacher that one pastor that I didn't know what to answer. And he told me, he said, well, I know what my answer would have been. I'm like, what would your answer have been? Which one of y'all is a prostitute? I'm like, oh, that probably wouldn't have been very good. And he said, well, that's the story. They're comparing to that. That's the story. That's what's going on here. But this is showing God's love. So I wanted to bring that out in this, especially Hosea 14, because I love that verse. That after all of that, after all of what Israel has done, how they've played the harlot, how they've went away, God says, I'm going to bring you back to me and I'm going to love you. And I'm going to create this in you. So look, if you will, in Hosea chapter 11. Finding Christ in every book of the Bible. Hosea chapter 11 and verse 1 says, when Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt. That verse is referred to, keep your place here in Hosea, but in Matthew chapter 2 and verse 15. In Matthew chapter 2, and I went way far back, Matthew chapter 2 and verse 15. this verse says, and was there, well, in verse 13, starting verse 13, and when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeareth to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt, and be there until I bring thee word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son. So we find Christ here and there. And I'm going to skip around in Hosea just a little bit. Hosea chapter 1 and verse 10. Hosea chapter 1 and verse 10 says, Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living God. And then in chapter 2, verse 23, verse 23 says, I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy. And I will say to them which were not my people, Thou art my people, and they shall say, Thou art my God. And then keep your place here, but look in Romans chapter 9. And I know I'm going kind of quickly through here, but Romans chapter 9. And we want to start here in verse 24, Romans 9:24. Yeah, Romans 9:24 says, Even us, and I'm starting in the middle of this thought, okay? When Paul, you can start back here, you can go back to verse 1 almost, back here. But Paul is talking here about the potter making the clay what he wants to. He can do look, God he's the author of all of this. He's the potter. Can the clay say, Why are you doing this to me? We don't have that right. Can he take the clay and separate it out and make one lump for good and one lump for bad? He has that authority. He can do that. Okay, and that's what Paul is saying here. And then we get into verse 23 and verse 24, and he says, Even us, whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles. And he saith also in Hosea, I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said to them, Ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living God. So, and that's a reference back. And who is all this from? When we have been grafted in, we look at this and we see Christ in here. It's because of him, because Christ paid our debt. He did that for us. Back in Hosea chapter 13, Hosea chapter 13, verse 14. Says, I will ransom them from the power of the grave. O death, I will be thy plague.